We turn to Genesee County now, where Investigative Post is now reporting a proposed data center there could make power bills skyrocket across our region if it gets approved. Now, this proposal is a massive 2.2 million square foot data center at the Stamp Industrial Park. We've talked about Stamp a lot. It's been years in the making. It would require around 500 megawatts of electricity, 83% of all the power that is available at Stamp. And the amount of electricity could power nearly every home in Erie County, more than 400,000 houses. Shoemaker reported this story for Investigative Post, and he joins us live here tonight. You always want to celebrate when there are new jobs coming, new industry, but it seems like there are some concerns with this one.
And you mentioned the biggest one, Michael, which is the amount of power that this data center would draw. 500 megawatts, you put it in the right context, that is 400,000 homes, enough for nearly every single house in all of Erie County, also enough for every house in Monroe, Genesee, Livingston, Orleans, and Wyoming County. That is a ton and a ton of power. The really important thing here is that the energy grid in New York is starting to strain. Basically, supply is not keeping up with demand, and we have some big draws on demand that are coming down the pike in the next couple years. Stamp is one of them, with their total 600 megawatt draw from their substation. This data center would take up most of that. Micron is another big draw. Big projects around the state are also adding up. We're also at the same time not adding supply to that system, meaning that the power companies that are supplying this power have to turn to more expensive sources of power to meet that demand, and that is what is going to cause energy costs to rise.
The governor was in town today with the Premier of Ontario talking about nuclear energy. I know that's part of sort of what's on the menu here to try to improve the grid. But I mean, these things take years to get online, and some of these projects are opening pretty quickly. I mean, is it possible we get to this point where there just is not an electricity enough to meet the demand?
We haven't hit that point yet. However, the New York Independent System Operator, that's the organization that runs the wholesale energy market, they are starting to ring the alarm bell. And in other states, there have been a number of academic studies and other reviews showing that data centers have driven up prices there. So in the short term, we're looking at higher energy prices. In the longer term, maybe we do get to that really pain point, but for now, it's going to hit consumers' wallets first.
Finally, what are people who are supportive of this project saying? Are they addressing the concerns that go along with it?
The Genesee County Economic Development Center, that's the IDA that's kind of leading the charge here. They're not really saying much at all right now. They're just saying, you know, we've got this proposal from Stream Data Centers. That's the company that's going to build it, and we're going to evaluate it. It is important to note here, however, that the same company made a similar proposal earlier this year, back in January, February. That got approved. Hundreds of millions of dollars in subsidies. That eventually drew a lawsuit from the Tonawanda Seneca Nation, and they pulled that project, promising to come back bigger and later. That's where we're at now. This is the second round of an attempt, and it's also important to note that the IDA, they stand to benefit financially from this project, so they have an incentive to make sure this thing gets online and gets approved and gets subsidies. We're talking tens of millions of dollars in administrative fees could flow from the data center to the IDA. That really bothers the Tonawanda Seneca Nation, which is trying to get the DEC to intervene in the environmental review, which they screwed up last time and resulted in that lawsuit.
Yep.
That remains to be seen what happens there. The DEC won't comment to me about that. But that's what we know at this point. The IDA isn't saying much.
Yeah, there are a lot of moving parts with this project, but I think for people at home who are so concerned about their energy bills, to think that they could go up even more because of all these data centers, at some point there is a reckoning. Shoemaker, happy holidays to you if I don't see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.